Hello and welcome to the Joinery Business Podcast. Today on the show, Bruce is interviewing Michael, Gail, and David from Spoke Joinery and Spoke Building and Interiors. On the show today, they talk a bit about what caused them to create the two businesses, as well as a bit of their background within the joinery and shop fitting industry. What caused them to kind of get into the industry and have their business so focused on family and creating such a family dynamic within the business. Spoke is a business with a very interesting story and a lot to say about what the industry can improve on. Spoke as a business has improved immensely in the 18 months that we've known them. And on the show today, they talk a bit about what improvements they've implemented and what they found helped the most. If you have any questions about today's episode, be sure to jump on over to the Joinery Business Hub on Facebook. Now, without further ado, let's jump into today's episode.
Alrighty, welcome to the Joinery Business Podcast. My name is Bruce. I'm going to be your host today. And today's podcast, we've got special guest, Michael, Gail, and David from Spoke Building and Interiors is the first one. And the second one is Spoke Joinery. Is that right?
Yes, correct. So Spoke Building and Interiors does the commercial fit outside, and that's been going the longest.
Yeah.
But that side of it's about 8 years now.
Yes.
About 4 years ago, we moved into the joinery side, and it was I've been in the building game a long time, and I was kind of getting a little bit bored with the fit out side of it and thought, well, rather than handing off money to joiners, we can take it in-house. And I must admit, I did think it was going to be pretty easy, but in the end, it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. A manufacturing mindset to a project management mindset is a bit different. So it took us about 3 years before we were semi-confident in what we were doing. And in about the last year, we got a bigger CNC now and a boom lift and a good edge bander. So we're pretty much set up with the joinery side, and it's reasonably good. So we still have the fit out side, and that's probably still 70% of our turnover. But the joinery is ramping up now, more from just our fit-out works. It's starting to be a bit more of a standalone for commercial stuff, and we're just starting to move into residential stuff.
So we met about 18 months ago, didn't we? About 18 months, close to 2 years ago. And you were at that stage. What was it that you were looking for help with? What were your struggles? What were your blocks at that stage?
It was really just finding the smooth flow. With so many moving parts and moving staff and moving programs and just everything, it just wasn't smooth. And it was good having the conversations that gave a bit more of an idea of what smooth was. It didn't mean we got there, but smooth is something that we had in the fit out works, but we just didn't have it in the joinery work. So that was the best thing that we got out of that was, well, if you're doing pricing, you do it this way. If you're, just get that vision of the end, which we didn't have. Yeah. We were just too caught up in the weeds, and we didn't have the vision of the end. And that was our problem 18 months ago.
Well, what I love about this particular team is Michael, Gail, and David. This is a family, right? You've got this legacy that we're trying to create into the future. What I'd love to do, Michael, is if you would share with us a little bit about the start of this, and Gail with you as well. Where did the business start? Like, tell us a little bit about your journey in business. Where did the business entrepreneurial spirit come from originally?
I think it originally started from we got sick of commuting to Sydney. And Michael was in the industry working long hours for someone else, and I was working as well. And we started off at home, at a home office just with you and I. And we just decided to give it a go.
And what year was that? Like, how long ago was that?
2016.
Okay. Yep.
That's Michael and I. And then we increased staff one by one slowly. Surely we started off with project management, and it eventually evolved from there.
And where did you enter the fold of things? What was your entry point?
Yeah, probably in year 12 during my school holidays, I'd come in and just give them a hand, because we were running like a little bit of site out of our garage as well. So we had our little table saw, trying to just do really long, big cuts of things.
That's right.
And then after I graduated, I just kind of came straight into this. So it's been good fun, done my apprenticeship, and just doing all the computer stuff and on site as well. So it's really good. Been very fortunate for a well-rounded education within the building industry of the CAD CAM and building it. So it's been good fun.
And you've just recently put in a new CNC machine, so your
Yes.
your journey of learning has really ramped up recently, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. We first had a multicam that was a smaller 2412 one. And so we had to learn a whole bunch of ways, and we started drawing our cabinets in SketchUp bit by bit, which was not fun. And now we've gone through and just kept on trying to do leaps and bounds and staying ahead of the curve, so to speak.
Yeah.
And now we've got a really a 3618 CNC now with like heaps of tools, and just it operates completely differently as well. So it's just been good fun learning it all.
Yeah.
It's trying new things. We've got new solid surface material that we've been using. So
Right.
it's just a lot of problem solving. It's been good fun.
So what I'd love to hear is I'd love to hear a little bit about, if you think about the last 2 years, tell us a little bit about your journey over the last 2 years, because we've been working with you for roughly that period of time, and we've seen some really significant, let's say, changes for the better. Not prior to that it was bad, like it's, you guys have done a lot to get to that point, but the leaps and bounds that we've seen, I'd love to hear from your perspective. What are they? So maybe David, maybe your perspective, we'll just sort of go around the room. Love to hear from each of you. What are the significant jumping off points, or the significant growth points that you can identify?
Well, first would be getting our first CNC and then deciding to, okay, let's pull our socks up and just jump right in and just learn how to do this. And it took a very long time to get it right with the smaller one, and then we got it okay. And then probably jumping between different software packages would be another one. So we had SketchUp, and then we had different extensions within SketchUp to try and help. And then we've gotten rid of SketchUp completely, and we're using Mosaic. So, and then learning Mosaic. So they're probably the big ones. And then we've changed to a project management systems a few times now.
Yeah.
And just learning projects or just different programs. So it's been probably, they're the ones that have really exponentially helped us get our growth and be able to support who we support here at Spoke.
Nice. So, how about you, Gail? How would you identify the turning points in the last couple of years?
I think the last couple of years for me is the technology, the software that we have changed and modified, which is also mainly Michael's systems, putting them in place, and each time it's gotten easier and better. The other thing that's changed for me, which has been a big mindset change for us, is we've always run commercial projects, and understanding that manufacturing mindset is different. And that's how we came across you guys was, well, we were trying to run the factory like site.
Yes.
And that just did not work very well. Some aspects of it did.
Yeah.
Changing, that has been one of our biggest changes, is finding this program, learning from it and implementing those changes. And for me, one of the other key factors was understanding you have to have really good people who want to learn, and employing for attitude, not so much the skills.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to keep changing. So what works a month ago, coming ahead, it may not work in 6 months. So just having that flexibility to keep changing.
Yeah. So that continuous improvement mindset is pretty strong right now.
Yeah. And it's not always easy to do that, but we've been through quite a few, and it's really each time you can see the benefits.
Yeah, we often talk about failing forward.
Yeah.
And that sounds really, it sounds odd, doesn't it, when you talk about failing forward? But what it means is you keep moving forward even though you fail. And that's one thing that you guys have done really well. And that's what anybody that progresses and improves does. Your first foray into anything is not going to be a success. It's going to probably be a failure to some degree. And do it again and again and again. And then eventually you reach the sort of levels that you want.
And I think looking for people who run businesses, and reading and podcasts and research, and finding what works for you to learn.
Yeah.
It's continuous improvement.
Michael, what are your light bulb moments or turning points in the last couple of years?
Look, it's more been accepting that you can't do it all yourself. Like we've got 11, 12 people now, and it's that whole cliche of working on your business, all that kind of stuff. And you think that, you can just keep on managing it just to get it done, just work a bit harder. It doesn't work. You can only do so many hours. And so you really do need to try to build the systems and then build on top of that. So that's for the last year, that has been my biggest push, is to just get the systems in place so that when it leaves sales and it goes to the next stage, everything of the sales has to be done before it moves forward. So it's getting that regimentation in. You've just got to do it this way. Don't really have time to explain it to you, but just do this. And if everyone does it at the different stages all the way through, we'll get out the other end. But shortcuts, particularly as I do sales and estimating, if I just throw a figure at it, even if it's the right figure, it just causes problems later because there's no breakdown of what materials you need, what labor you need, and it just causes problems. So develop a system for the size of your business and then stick to it.
Yeah, I know you and I have done a fair bit of work, and we've had a lot of, let's say, really lively conversations around the systems that we're creating. And I mean that in a real positive way, because the more lively and the more back and forth we can have conversations, the better the outcome is. Like the more you can actually ask why, or why is it this way? And so you've been one of those people that I really enjoy working with, because you kind of push the boundaries, and that going into those conversations there isn't one way. It's going to be the best way for you, and our job is to kind of find that, isn't it?
No, it is business specific. So particularly with us, that we do like the design, we do for the design for the build, we'll do the CDC, and we have all these stages, and it is like a house of cards that if you don't do it as you need to do it and 100%, it just becomes such a grind. It's just too hard. So we are finally very, very close to being at the stage where the designer knows what they have to have done before it goes to CAD and all the way through. And when do we order the board and all that kind of stuff. And if you can get to that stage, it's not too bad, but getting there, that's particularly with the joinery, that's 4 years of slog to get there.
Yeah, business, no one said it was going to be easy, right?
No.
And it's been about almost a year since we separated out Spoke Joinery and Cabinetry to advertise and run and target the residential market for joinery.
Yes.
What we're finding now is that has taken on a bigger beast as well on its own, which is fabulous. It's great. But now we're going, okay, we have all these moving parts. We can't just focus on one thing. Now we have to cut 2 or 3 jobs out of the same board and try to manage all that flow. And it's picked up really, really well.
Gail, you've touched on a really interesting point that I did want to bring up. You became a client of the marketing joint, our marketing agency. Talk a little bit about how that changed things for you, because you were previously really deeply involved in all the marketing, weren't you, Gail?
Yes, I was. I love it.
Yeah. Now you still are involved,
yes.
But the hard stuff, or the stuff that sort of needs to just be done on repeat, somebody else is doing for you. How has it sort of changed the game for you? Like what's it given the business that it didn't previously have?
It's given the business, number one, exposure, but for me personally, it's taken the weight off my shoulders. The regularity, the variations, how to put different ones together, how to merge the different photos together. I actually just have a shared drive. I put whatever photos I can in there and I leave it up to them to manage it themselves. I said, I don't want to see it. I trust you guys. And really, I've only had to send a couple of things, tweak a couple of things. But generally, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, and that tweaking is necessary, right? Because it really needs your approval anyway.
Yeah, and it's only minor. Like they get what the pictures are about, and I put in like a really brief description in Monday. I use Monday for it, for the marketing only. And I'll put a new folder information in there, pop in ideas of old blogs, generate acoustics, and then I just leave it with them to use their creative ability, which I just don't have.
Yeah. So the one thing that we know with businesses, whether it's using our agency or any other agency or even internally being done, you need a regular flow of leads coming in. You need new blood coming into the business, right? New work. Now it feels to me like that's kind of stabilized for your business. How has that changed things in the business as a whole? David, is there anything on the manufacturing side of things that's kind of created a little bit more stability with a little bit more workflow coming in?
It has created a lot more like stability, yes, but it's also a lot more, how can I put it, like not necessarily frantic, but there's a lot more coming through. So we have to be, much higher volume than what we used to have.
Yeah.
So we have separate joinery inquiries and stuff that we need to go and do, like a walk-in wardrobe sort of thing. But then we're also offering the commercial client we're doing site works, and then we're like, okay, we've built this hole, we can give you cupboards. So we're trying, and then having that on the floor and having it all distinguished, knowing where it's going, when it's going, and what stage that all these things need to be at. So it's been really good.
We found recently, Bruce, is that some of our suppliers for a particular contract has come to us and said, look, can you cut this out? It's going to save me time on labour, cut down site time, it'll bring this project back on schedule. So we're actually finding that we're getting asked by other contractors to schedule in some of their work to help them. So, and that's what it's about too in the industry, is people out who you currently work with, or new clients even.
Yeah, and building that trust out there in the industry is really, really key, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And that was something that we hadn't factored in that would happen. That's been fun.
Yeah, and it's just, just to see that brand recognition grow, just nothing but good stuff happens when it's done well. So usually at this point in the podcast, I ask a very serious question.
Okay.
Are you ready for a very serious question?
As far as we can be.
We'll start with Michael. So Michael, you are in a situation where you can only see one performance from any artist, dead or alive, and you can only pick one that you're going to see, and that's it for the rest of your life. Who would you choose to go and see?
That's not an easy one.
You've been on the earth for a little while, so there's two options.
Yes, no, I've started listening to some of David's music recently, and so he has a lot more of the electronic music. So there's a band called Navjex, which is good, and I got in my car with my mum yesterday and she said, "What is this rubbish?" So that's what I've been listening to, and I don't have any particular theme or favourite of a music that I'll go through.
Do you have any in the past that you wish that you had seen?
I would have liked to have seen like the Eagles and, like some of that era of music, but I didn't get to see them. I went and saw Jimmy Barnes and like all the Hoodoo Gurus and all those bands.
Yeah.
But I must admit, I kind of cycle through the music, and it's been more of my son's music that I've been listening to lately.
How about you, Gail? Who would you pick if there was just one artist that you could see, dead or alive? Who would you pick?
Oh, that'd probably be a cross between Prince and Michael Jackson.
Oh, good choices.
A bit of Eric Clapton thrown in there, I think.
Yeah, that's my era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, David? Who would you pick? If you only have one that you could see for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Yeah, so Mum stole my one. I wanted to go Michael Jackson.
You can still do
Wow.
Michael Jackson.
That'd probably my top one, and then another like weirder-ish one would be Lil Peep.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, he's got some good songs.
So they'd probably be my two on either end of the scale. So
For the longest time, I was James Brown.
Oh, yes.
Love to have seen him in his peak. And now I'm kind of rethinking that probably the Rolling Stones at their peak, not now,
yeah.
but probably in the 70s. Rolling Stones in the 70s, I think, would have been fantastic.
Actually, I'll add a third one in there. AC/DC would be good too.
Oh, they are good.
What era of AC/DC would you pick?
Peak, like you said, British peak era.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so thanks for the serious answers to that serious question.
Well, Queen would be good too.
They would be amazing.
Oh,
Yeah. So
actually,
anyway.
we add Queen into there, all three of us. Yeah.
Once you start thinking about it, it's hard to stop coming up with
yeah,
options. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the two businesses and what you actually build. Like, what do you provide to your clients?
Well, we do commercial hospitality and office fit out works. So we just finished a lawyer's. They had 40 staff. So there were partners' offices, junior partners officers and admin. So there was about 15 or 18 admin people who were in workstations. And then the officers kind of were open-ended glass-fronted offices, and then they went up to the partners' offices with a big boardroom, a reception counter, curved end, concealed LEDs, nice steckerwood front, solid surface benchtop.
Wow.
And the Laminex
Slat wall.
Not
Sort of-
slat wall.
Not slat wall, but yeah.
there's a new product
big
out.
sign inserted.
Yeah, there's a new
Sign.
Laminex wall paneling product, which
Yeah.
is, it's got the black substrate, the board.
Yeah.
And that was really good, with a concealed door with like an 1800 bar handle and a glass viewing window. So that's my background for doing that commercial stuff. And in all the offices, there were 3 partners offices, which were like curved end visitor ones with 3-meter buffet kind of storage, overhead shelves, LED lighting, and then all the junior offices, and not much on the admin because they were just like an off-the-shelf workstation there.
Mm.
So that's that kind of stuff, which involves both the fit out and the joinery, and they're the best because we're the boss all the way through.
Yeah, you've got this wonderful sort of 1-2 punch, right? Where you're doing the actual carpentry fit out side of it, but then the joinery comes in and finishes it off. And that's where a lot of the conflict is. You got 2 different parties doing those 2 things, but you guys handle both. So you've really got a great offer to the builder, don't you?
Yeah, and we've got a really good extra set of offices there because we also do the design. So the client will see the finished product before it's even started.
Yeah.
And then we also offer the certification if it's required for that particular job for the client as well. And we arrange all that and do all the paperwork. And then we've got the follow through or just standalone joinery
Yeah.
as well.
And because it's all us, we can give them a fairly accurate timeline, and we have our trades that we always use. And we've gone through a few and we found our reliable ones that we like.
Yeah.
And we can just say, hey, this is how long this type of job takes, and then we can adhere to that timeline. Pretty close.
I think that's the other bit of a learning curve to us for Bruce is finding the suppliers that work to your standard or a very similar standard, or willing to learn to work with you. Like we actually have a lot of people now and employees wanting to work for us.
Yeah.
Like not coming in our front door.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. But we have a really good cohesive mixture of suppliers and people now that it works quite well, smoother than most, I guess.
And you're probably better at identifying what type of a culture do you want to have in your business. So anybody that doesn't sort of feel that vibe of that culture, you just probably, we'll look for somebody else.
No, you're 100% right there. It's the culture. Yeah.
2 more questions for you. These are getting a little bit more difficult. If you were to say, identify one thing that you do better out in the marketplace than anyone else, like if someone was to pick you for a project over everybody else that's out there, what would be the main reasons that they would pick you? Like, what are the things that you deliver that you're going to do way better than your competitors? It's
more because we get involved earlier, we're able to give them a realistic budget and a realistic time frame. So it's not wishy-washy because we actually do know how much the joinery will cost. We do know how much the flooring will cost. Like for that flow for a customer, it gives them a bit more certainty. If they believe you, that they can get a bit more certainty so that, we're not doing the design with no consideration for the budget. We just did a recent cafeteria for a golf club upgrade, and the starting point was we have this much money to spend. So when you're getting stainless steel equipment, like all new ovens, all new front of house, the gelato display, all that kind of stuff, for us, we can give them a pretty good budget. And that was what got us over the line, was that they didn't feel confident in some of the other companies that they had a handle on how much things were going to cost.
Yeah.
and that's good for me in that I can feel confident that we'll make money at the end of the job.
Yeah. So comprehensive offer, basically you're covering all the bases basically.
Reasonably broken down, and our people are really good. Our team, we've got a really good team. So the communication, it's always room for improvement, but we actually have pretty good communication comparing to some of our competitors, I guess.
Yeah.
And we actually show up when we say we're going to show up and
Keep it clean.
Yeah, we keep the site. One of our biggest feedbacks during the whole period from different clients, from schools to various ones, is that our site is always clean. Like they'll walk through at the end of the day and it's clean. And that's one of our biggest feedback, is they always appreciate that.
And that's an indication whenever we see that, regardless of whether it's on site or whether it's in the factory, it shows, the pride in what you do, and it shows the pride in your business, because that's reflecting your business to the world, right? If you have a messy job site, as you guys probably know as well as anyone, if you walk around Sydney right now and you look at any job site, what a mess this is. And the first thing I do is I look at who the builder is and I go, well, that's what they're accepting to represent their business.
Yeah.
If you're identifying that actually represents your business, that actually really shows the pride you have in your business, and it comes out in the work you do as well.
Yeah, well,
I think people know that. I think it like that's pretty obvious to most people.
And we've got the belief and the confidence in our team as well, and that comes through to allow them to do their job and, yell out if they need a hand.
Yeah.
So, and most of our clients are repeat business or referrals, and then it comes through our website.
And then sometimes we've had commercial clients and they've said, hey, can you come do something at our house, like a whole kitchen? And we're like, haven't done it before or often. At that point in time, we go, why not?
Give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well.
Michael, you talked earlier about the journey of business. I'm going to ask you the last question. This is probably the most difficult one. If you were talking to someone who is deciding to start a business right now in this industry, knowing what you know now, what would be your advice to them that they need to do before they launch into business?
Starting a business is easy. Being successful as far as not burning out. I think that's, I really like my job. And the problem is, when you really like your job, you don't mind doing the hours. So I'm still trying to manage that. And so that's with for someone who starts the business because they love the business, it's to try to get some separation between yourself and the business. That would be if you want to be in it for the long term, you can't live your business. Unfortunately,
you can't burn out, that's for sure.
It's just too much. And the more successful you are, the more pressure you get under. So you have to get that separation. And if there's a problem in the business, blame the business, not yourself. Like, fix the systems, and that means that you can't personally fix everything, but you've got to not take everything all on board, because it's too hard. You need a holiday, you need all that kind of stuff. So that would be my advice.
It's good advice. How about you, Gail? What would your advice be to someone that's saying, yep, I want to start a joinery business today?
I think it's really rewarding working with family. Seeing the growth in the business, working all together. However, that does come with some challenges, as Michael said. You work, right? Because that's your focus and you have a lot of people relying on you. But it's very rewarding, challenging. It's the best job I've had, but it's also the most difficult.
Yeah.
At times too. And because I'm also pushing boundaries and learning, because I've just never done certain aspects of it, and I didn't come from a building background. So keep learning.
Yeah. Keep learning. There's great advice.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people get stuck. They just go, well, I'm good now, I'll just keep doing this.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the challenge too, isn't it? Is that what worked 6 months ago or even a year ago may not work going forward.
Yeah.
Because it's always evolving. And
at least question it regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. I love that. Keep learning. That's wonderful. How about you, David? Seeing what you've seen so far, what would your advice be to someone thinking about this?
I'd like to say, don't be afraid to take the leap. I'd like to say that, saying if you're umming and ahhing about putting on someone, if they have like the right values and bit of experience, that your capacity to do more is increased, and obviously the capacity to do more increases your overheads because you're putting someone on, but your potential is a lot higher than what you currently are. So that's probably what I'd say is don't be afraid to take the leap.
Yeah. And we've worked fairly hard on creating standard processes for new people to follow. So that transition has been a lot smoother than it was in the past, I would assume. Hey?
Yes.
No, people should. Now it's getting to the point where the designer, when they come on, they know what they have to do. A project manager has their list, and if you have that, if you've been in business for long enough, you have to get those assets that come through the business. If you don't spend time to get them, you're just reinventing it every time, and it's just too hard.
Yeah, it just burns people out. Yeah,
it's too hard.
Awesome. So tell us, how can people contact you? Website, email address, how, if someone's watching or listening to this podcast right now and they're going, wow, I'd really love to have a chat with these guys, how would they contact you?
It's via the website. We've got a little button that says book a chat with us.
Yes, love it.
Yes, that's on the website. There's a 1300 number, or they can email us directly.
Yeah, so
Facebook.
Yeah, we're
all
just
the
on
socials.
we're just on the Central Coast, so
yes,
and we normally go to Newcastle. So
yeah, that's a good point. So your boundaries of where you work is how far north and south do you go?
Yeah, we try to stay out of Sydney because that's why this business was started.
Yeah.
To not go down there, and it's pretty
Yeah.
mental down there. Like it's just crazy. And we like going north inland. Like we like Central Coast, but Central Coast Hunter. So
yes,
yeah.
Nice. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your business that we haven't covered yet? Is there anything I missed?
No, I think just as a general overview that we all enjoy being here, and it's been very rewarding. And I think that comes through when you're dealing with clients that actually think that we're interested in their projects. So we do try to show the interest in our clients because it's a genuine thing. So if there are clients out there that would like to have a chat, please give us a call.
Yeah, and I can support that. I mean, I've seen your growth both professionally and personally over the last 18 months, 2 years, and thanks for choosing to work with us. And I'm really looking forward to 2025, because 2025 to me feels like the year when all that stuff that we've kind of worked on actually gets into the acceleration stage where it all kind of falls into place. And that's the thing that everybody's looking for in business, right? Is that sweet spot where it all just starts to feel easy.
Yeah.
You know, hard work is just hard if it's always just hard, but hard work is great if it leads to easy. So well done, I guess, is my comment, because
Thank you.
you've done a lot of hard work and it's now falling into place. Thanks for doing this podcast with us.
Yes. Well, thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
You're welcome, and we'll see you again soon.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cheers.